آله وأصحابه وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان ودعا بدعوتهم إلى يوم الدين وبعد. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا يقربنا إليك يا رب العالمين. اللهم افتح لنا فتوح العارفين ووفقنا توفيق الصالحين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من أن أضل أو ضل، أزل أو زل، أظلم أو أظلم، أجهل أو جهل علي. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. Amen. Honorable elders, respected brothers and sisters, we begin as always by praising Allah, sending our salutations upon the Prophet of Allah, seeking the pleasure and nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah bless all of us and the Muslim Ummah in its entirety and keep us on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Honorable brothers and sisters, as we know, 26th of December is seen as a very commercial day in this society. Day before yesterday was the day known as the Boxing Day. And we know the vibes that you get when you walk in the mall and the commercialization of the products and very charmful deals that are offered. All of these things, of course, that's not the purpose to talk about today or in the khutbah, but something that I want to make as a connection. Because as I was driving to the airport to drop off one of the scholars who came from the UK, and the lineup and the traffic that really caused us a huge delay from not being able to arrive at the airport on time, made me thinking that I thought maybe because of a crash, the crowd is basically like a bottleneck. As I got closer and closer, I realized that all of this and the huge lineup of cars trying to get in the parking lot of this Richmond outlet mall. The people, as I was reading in the news, had been waiting for about 2 hours or 3 hours just to get in the parking lot and to get in line to be able to have the entry in the mall itself. It made me thinking that this whole idea of commercialization and consumerism in this society, as we see day by day on the rise. And it is this that has been seen as a hallmark of the Western, industrial and commercial world. This Boxing Day, historically speaking, dear brothers and sisters, started off in the Commonwealth countries, the day after Christmas, a day for rich individuals to be generous and considerate to the needy of the society. If you read about the history and the tradition, how it all began, is that the day after Christmas was the day historically marked as a day for rich individuals in Commonwealth countries to give gifts and charity and things like that, in boxes to the underprivileged, poor individuals in the society. With time, not just here across, especially in Canada, it evolved from that being a tradition, a practice rooted into charity, generosity, and compassion to self-centeredness. People back in those days used to also spend money, but for others. Now they are competing and racing and fighting to get and spend money for themselves, for the things that they perhaps don't even need. This is why they say that people who are generally there, let me just go and try, maybe I might find something that I may like, not necessarily I may need. So this shows that a big portion of those who visit, who go, not necessarily they're in the need of something, perhaps they want to look at products, commodity, inventories that are there in the stores, that they might like it, so they will find it as a good deal to buy it. So you can see the huge shift in these societies, something that was very charity-based, compassion-based, to very selfishness. And that, of course, happened because of the deterioration of certain values in morality and also spirituality. That is the main reason for this. It reminds me of the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It is mentioned in some of the books that Prophet ﷺ said, "Ya'ti ala nasi zamanun," a time is going to come upon the people in general that hammuhum butunuhum, himmamuhum butunuhum, that their primary concern would be their stomachs. People basically have this, I have met and seen individuals, any new restaurant that opens up, they just want to try it just to taste and to see how the meal is. That's fine, not haram, but I'm saying that Rasulullah, what he said, hammuhum butunuhum, their primary concern as if it's all about food. Sharafuhum mata'uhum, their honor is very much linked with whatever they possess in life. If you have wealth, if you have expensive car, if you have big house, if you have good job, then you will be honored and seen a person of sharaf. If you don't have any of these, you could be a very righteous and very good in terms of your behavior, your akhlaq, even your deen. You would not probably hold any position, any worth and value in the eyes of those who really see you as an insignificant individual. Sharafuhum mata'uhum, sharafuhum mata'uhum. And then Prophet ﷺ said, Deenuhum dinaruhum wa dirhamuhum. Their religion is not necessarily the Rabb, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that their focus would be always to seek His pleasure, rather to seek the pleasure of the money. Deenuhum dinaruhum wa dirhamuhum. It's all about wealth. It's all about wealth. How I can increase my wealth at the cost of suffering and the pain of others. And we could see, just in this case, this example that I gave you, Boxing Day sale, the huge lineup is one thing, but even when people are trying to go in, when the stores open up, the push that happens, people fall, people hurt each other. All of these things, right? So, Deenuhum dinaruhum wa dirhamuhum. It's all about what I can get for myself at the cost of causing trouble and pain and difficulty to others. That's why even as I was driving yesterday to the airport, I saw multiple police cars. I thought maybe there was an accident. But they were just trying to direct the traffic so that there is no such chaos takes place. That was the primary reason for them. So this hadith of Rasulullah as it speaks, of our time to people, and at the same time it reminds the conditions of people that they will find themselves in and would not even realize and recognize the harm that they are going to bring upon them as a result of that. When you become over obsessed with something that is very material, mundane and commercial and consumerist, then you lose the focus and the greater purpose of life. And that is why we see what we see in our time. And this situation, dear brothers and sisters, is not uniquely related to just the people of this land. It is something that we also have been affected by that. I mean, of course, do not take me wrong. If you have something to buy, if you need something to buy, you go and you try, and those things are okay. But just try to understand this whole, this whole idea behind this, and this transition from this end to from this right end to the very left end, and the disparity in between this, and how it shifted and how it changed. And should we be something part of it always, or should we draw some kind of line for ourselves and make a distinction in this regard. Because we are also not immune from things like this, because when you live in a society, you become the product of the society. You start taking in things without thinking twice or hard, rejecting things that are inappropriate or immoral. Oftentimes you become part and parcel of that. And it is this that makes us and our identity very blurred, and makes us do not look different, rather the same as others. We should strike a balance in our life in a way that people should learn from us to put things in their right place and learn this i'tidal in life, moderation in life. Of course we have needs, of course we have expectations, of course we have things that we want to achieve, but each thing has a limit. Each thing has a limit, and those limits are oftentimes being crossed over. And when we cross over, of course, we do that to our own detriment and harm. So the title I chose for today's khutbah is the Dunya of a believer. The Dunya of a believer is not the people of the Dunya of Dunya. Okay, keep that in mind. The Dunya of a believer is not like the people of the Dunya. It is very distinct and different. Because our priority is the pleasure of Allah. Our priority is our spirituality. Our priority is our morality. Our priority is civilization. Our priority is compassion. Our priority is care. Our priority is consideration. Consideration. We always are not those who are me and I and what I need, what I want, what I feel. It is never like that. You are not the only one living in this dunya or in this society. There are people that we share this planet with. There are other creations of Allah we share this planet with. But the choices that we make, the actions that we engage are going to inevitably have either a positive or a negative consequence. And therefore, our Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was sent in the society that was very vulgar, very barbaric, very uncivilized, very unethical, the way he transformed and shaped is something remarkable that the history remembers that. And that change and shift, of course, was not possible, could not have been possible unless Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself to set a beautiful example before others and work diligently to bring about the results. And he was not the only one, but the whole society changed as a result. And subhanAllah, for example, Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that I once walked in and I saw Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam resting on a mat, and then as he woke up, I could see the marks of that mat, on the side of the blessed body of Rasulullah, because there was really nothing on top of the mat. Uthira ala jambihi. So then because they had definitely, the love for Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, unimaginable to us. The type of love that they had, a very pure, very sincere love that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam experienced from Sahaba, it was something that no one has ever been able to showcase such love towards Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam at all. So because of that, he said, Ya Rasulullah, shall we not make you something more comfortable so that you don't have to feel this type of discomfort? What was his instant reaction to this? What did he say? He said, Mali wali dunya. He said, what do I have to do with this dunya? All of these things that you are saying, of course, imagine sleep is something that is very important. Today, even I have certain issues for my back, so I have at one point looked into subhanAllah, the type of mattress that I should be using, or the pillow. People invest thousands of dollars for this. I'm thinking of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that, sleep is something very necessary for your health. But he said, Mali wali dunya, what do I have to do with the dunya? And then he said, Masali, the example of myself, living in this dunya is like a traveler, karrakib. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, then the rakib, the traveler that travels, back in the days, people would travel, of course, camels and on horse, etc., mule, the desert land. So when they would travel, Rasulullah said if the person gets tired, he would get off and just would try to find a tree so that he could, find a shade and lay down and get some rest under the shade of that tree. And so when he is going to lay down for a short while, do you think he would be looking for a mattress and pillow and comfort? No. His goal is the destination. He just wants to get some, sleep, to feel fresh, to move on, so that he's able to get to the destination. So he said, my example is like that. So the one who gets off and gets rested and then moves on towards the destination. مثلي كمثل الراكب الذي يستظل تحت الشجرة صلى الله عليه وسلم. And he actively set a beautiful example of that. Our Rasul lived a very, very simple, humble, and, sorry for the lack of the word, very impoverished life. But that was not by chance, it was by choice. That's a difference. Many of us live, a very simple life, perhaps because of not by choice, rather by chance. But to him, he's once, Abu Dharr Ghifari radiallahu anhu, I think he narrates this. When Prophet ﷺ was walking in Mecca, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offered this valley of Mecca for me to turn into gold and to be with me. The valley of Mecca, Batha Mecca, Prophet ﷺ said, to turn into gold and to be with me. But then said, La ya Rabb, no my Rabb, what I want is that, you give me food one day, I satisfy my hunger and become grateful. But next day, if I face, hunger, I turn to you and pray to you. Because this is a human nature. When you are given in abundance, you start to deviate and transgress and forget. There are people, unfortunately, they are only seen in the masjid when they have sickness or problem or someone dies. That's it. Otherwise, you would not see them around. Each time something, hits hard, you will see them praying. You'll see them, asking Allah for ease. You'll see them in the masjid, unfortunately. But once the situation changes, they get busy with life. Are we like that? Seriously, who are we trying to fool? And subhanAllah, so this was the mindset of Rasulullah, and this is the example that when he said, it really shaped the mind of Sahaba Rizwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. And Prophet ﷺ was once, sending off Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu, the known Sahabi, the infamous Sahabi, towards Yemen as the teacher, as the governor. As the teacher to Yemen, then Prophet ﷺ gave him some pieces of advice. It's a very emotional conversation between our Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam and the Sahabi Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu. I can't narrate all of it, but it really moves you to tears if you read that account. But a part of it, a part of the nasa'ih that Rasulullah gave him at that time was this: Ya Mu'adh ibn Jabal, O Mu'adh, iyyaka wa tana'um, fa inna ibadallahi laysu bil mutana'imin. O Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu, take this advice seriously and hold it tight. That iyyaka wa tana'um, because he was being sent off to a place where life was not as simple as in Medina, or as in Mecca, or as in Jaziratul Arab as a whole. It was a life, because Yemen was a place of civilization, a place of wealth, right? So it is because we all are, polluted with that, right? We all have changed because of this change that we have experienced here. So Rasulullah forewarned him before he sent him, Iyaka wa tana'um. Why was it, if you really think, he lived a whole life in Medina or in Mecca, he never gave him this nasiha, but when he was going to Yemen, he gave him this nasiha. So this is the nasiha that we all need to be given before coming to this part of the world. Never lose your heritage, never lose your values, never lose your simplicity in life. Remain as you who are. Become a better person, not better materialistic person. So, Iyaka wa tana'um, watch yourself against the luxurious life. Rasulullah, tana'um is luxury. Iyaka wa tana'um. And then Rasulullah said, فَإِنَّ عِبَادَ اللَّهِ لَيْسُوا بِالْمُتَنَعِمِينَ. If you really truly want to be a devout worshipper of Allah, ibadallah, you want to see as such, then you must know the distinct characteristic of those individuals. They are far away from dunya. They do not have this longing for dunya. They live in dunya. As Hazrat Hakim Akhtar Rahmatullahi alayhi, one of the great sages of our recent time, he said, you pass by the market, but that market that you pass by, it doesn't hold you back. You continue to move on. Bazaar se guzara hu magar kharidar nahi hu. You'll see things charming, full of charm around you. As Rasul said, "Dunya hulwatun khadiratun," is lush, attractive, very beautiful. Yet you know what is your destination. Your destination is not just dunya. This is why I said the dunya of a believer is not like the dunya of the people of the dunya. It's different, completely different. But we have become very much the same. So فَإِنَّ عِبَادَ اللَّهِ لَيْسُوا بِالْمُتَنَعِمِينَ. The true ibadullah, they are never people who live the life in luxury. SubhanAllah, in one narration, Rasulullah said, the more you get accustomed to this lifestyle, then you will be losing your darajat in the akhirah accordingly. Your higher darajat in the akhirah. Because as if you are trying to make your dunya jannat. As if you are trying to make your dunya jannat. This car, this brand, this lifestyle, that house, and this type of, brand. I met someone 3 days ago. I won't mention because it's something that was very sad to me. So the father said to me that, he's a very good, and his son is very good. Even Hafiz al-Quran, because he has accustomed himself to such a lifestyle now, he needs to make sure that he has this much earning every month in order to maintain that lifestyle. Otherwise, he will not be able to make it. So accustoming yourself to such a luxurious lifestyle that you are putting yourself into this trouble that you must make this much earning every month. This is why subhanAllah, one of the great scholars, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, in one of the books he said, live simple but also teach simplicity to your children. And then he explains, otherwise they will waste their whole life chasing after dunya. Otherwise they will waste their whole life chasing after dunya. He said, live simple but also teach simplicity to your children. Time is never enough. Of course, I want to leave you with one very powerful example. SubhanAllah, Allama Dhahabi rahimahullah ta'ala in his Siyar A'lam al-Nubala records. Again, this is the example of Sahaba. Like I said, the way the mentor is, then you see the reflection of that mentorship in these students as well. So it was none other than Abu Ubaid al-Jarrah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who, of course, was sent as the governor of Sham. So Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he went to visit him. And when he went to visit him, he requested him that, he would like to accompany him to his house. And the reason was, again, Syria was a place of civilization, wealth. Even Arabs used to travel in summer, as I talked about earlier. So, of course, when you go there, it is very possible for you to change. So he wanted to see his lifestyle, his personal lifestyle, the setting at home. So he requested, so he said, why do you want to come? If you come, I think you will only cry over my condition. He said, no, I still want to come and see you. So he said, okay, he followed him and he went in. It was a very humble, simple place. When he went in, he started looking around. There was barely anything. There was no mattress, there was no bed, nothing like that, with the exception of 3 things that he found. Sword, shield, and also a container for water. So he said, where is your bed? This is what I have. And then where is your food? Then he extended his hand to pull out a container that has water and few pieces of bread inside. That's my meal, he said. And when he saw that simplicity, it really struck him. And he started crying. And then Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah radiyallahu anhu said, I told you, Amir al-Mu'mineen, if you come to my house, the condition is said that it will make you cry. And then he said this, Ya Aba Ubaidah, غَرَّتْنَا الدُّنْيَا إِلَّاكَ سِوَاكَ. This dunya has deceived us and changed us except you. Is it not really true for all of us sitting here? This dunya has changed us. This dunya has changed us. This dunya has changed us. Be a person of deen, not be a person of dunya. And that is the lesson when we live in times like this, to strike a balance. Think of the Sirat of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, noble character and the legacy and the teaching that he taught to strike a balance. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really help us and allow us to benefit from this and to be the people of profound example in this regard. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wan alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح